Have you ever heard the term read between the lines? This term refers to the skill of making inferences. The ability to make inferences is a fundamental reading and thinking skill. Let's see how this good reader makes inferences as he reads.
I love street art. This looks interesting. I can make lots of inferences about this text. The title makes me infer that this person has to hide. They can't live a normal life.
I am Miss P. That's the only name I go by. As a street artist, it is important to keep my identity secret until I become well known and respected. For now, I work alone, quickly, quietly, and in places that the police don't worry about.
Ah, I see. My inference was correct. She does have to hide from the police.
Street art is still illegal, see? It drives me crazy that I'm harassed for creating something beautiful and for sharing my message of hope.
I can infer that Miss P thinks that street art should be made legal because it is a beautiful and important kind of art. But it is against the law. So, overall, I can infer that people have different ideas about what is art and what is not.
Inferences rely on background knowledge. When learners make an inference, they make a good guess about something. They must use what they have read in the text together with their own experiences and background knowledge. What I read, together with what I already know, allows me to make an inference. Background knowledge is critical to being a good reader. Watch as we see Mrs. Ndlovu use her background knowledge to make inferences as she gardens. This woman has read the label on her rosebush. It says that she should plant it in the correct conditions for the best results. But what does that mean?
Roses need loamy soil. It's best to plant roses in spring. Roses need quite a lot of sunlight.
She uses her background knowledge on gardening to make inferences about this label. Her first inference relates to the soil. Her second inference relates to the season or weather. Her third inference relates to the light conditions. Inferences show understanding of more than what is written on the page. In order to make inferences, first read the text on the page. First, check that learners understand the information that is explicitly stated in the text.
What does this graph show? The y-axis shows the temperature in Celsius. The x-axis shows the dates in periods of 10 years. The graph shows us that the temperature has risen steadily over time. This is not an inference because this information is given to us in the text.
Next, model making an inference about the text. This helps learners understand what inferences look and sound like.
I can infer that this is a graph about climate change. I make this inference based on the fact that the graph shows how temperature has risen over time, and based on what I already know about how our Earth is heating up due to pollution.
Use prompts to encourage learners to make inferences. Encourage learners to make inferences about the text as they read.
Based on. What do you think is happening here? What can you infer about? Based on. How can you fill in the gaps here using your own experiences or background knowledge?
Help learners to develop this skill. Making inferences is a high-order skill. Listen to and discuss learners' answers. Make sure learners' answers are logical. Observe how this teacher helps her learner develop this skill. I can infer from this graph that the temperatures will eventually go back down.
This inference isn't logical based on what I see happening in this graph. What did you base this inference on? Do you know something we don't know?
I can infer that even if next year the average temperatures drop, over time the temperature will continue to rise.
This is a logical inference based on the trend of the graph.
Remember, an inference is not simply a guess. It is an educated guess based on the text and our background knowledge.